I'm so bad with names. I'm so sorry. It's from the faculty in the Department of English and a finalist for the Nobel Prize for his writing.
Pulitzer Prize.
Pulitzer Prize, sorry. Pulitzer Prize.
Not quite the Nobel.
Sorry, I'm terrible.
I'm still working on world peace.
Anyways, I'm not going to say anymore. Please.
Here. Hi, everybody. I'm Lee. I'm still working on solving world peace. We're aspiring for that. Thank you all for being here, and thanks to Ruth and the library for the invitation. Is my voice carrying well enough to the back rows? Just let me know if it starts to go down, and I'll raise the volume. It's a beautiful day outside, which is unusual for me when I read. Usually when I read, it's pouring down rain. Which maybe today would have been a better situation. It would have brought more people inside, I don't know. But some of you know me, and for those of you who do, you know that I've never met a corny joke that I could resist. It's my true flaw in life. And so, Ruth, I have a joke for you and all the librarians in the crowd. Patron came up to a librarian and said, do you have a model globe? Do you have a globe? Librarian said, well, yes, we do. Right there on the table, there's a tabletop model right there. Patron said, oh, well, no, that's not good enough. Do you have a life-size model? After a pause, the librarian said, well, yes, we do. But unfortunately, it's in use right now. I like that joke. You have to think about it. Will I break any protocol if I put this bottle of water on the mantle?
Everybody puts them up there.
Oh, okay. Good deal. I teach over in the English department. I teach both fiction and nonfiction workshops. And I'm originally from the southeastern part of Illinois. And if you've read my work before, you know everything there is to know about me. But for those of you who haven't, I'll just give you the little nutshell rundown. I was the only child of a farmer and a grade school teacher, which was a common combination among the rural part of my land. Farmers married grade school teachers and lived happily ever after, sometimes. When I was a little over a year old, my father lost both of his hands in a farming accident. And from then on, wore prostheses and continued to farm. But when I was about to start the third grade, my mother, who had lost her teaching position, took a job in Oak Forest, Illinois, one of the southern suburbs of Chicago. So at that age, I moved from a two-room school in southeastern Illinois to a very large elementary school in this suburb of Chicago. And the piece that I'm going to read for you today, some of you have heard a little bit of this piece recently, but I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, so I thought, I'll read it all today. It's called Never 13, and it takes place, as you'll see, at the time my parents and I are about to move back to the southeastern part of the state after my 8th grade graduation, and I'm getting ready to start high school. The only problem was I had to leave a lot of people behind to make the move, particularly one special young lady. This is called Never 13. The first girl I kiss is a girl named Beth. It's 1969, and we're 13, about to graduate from the 8th grade. It's spring in Oak Forest. Yankee Woods, the forest preserve that sprawls south from 159th Street to Tinley Park and beyond, is green. The snow cover has melted from the grass. Winter's bare trees are in full leaf. In a few weeks, my mother and father and I will move back to Southern Illinois for good. My mother retiring after 38 years of teaching, the last 6 in Oak Forest. But now, I'm not thinking about any of that, because Beth has asked me to walk her home. At least partway, she says. At least as far as Yankee Woods, she says. At least as far as that. That is, she says, if I want to. Do I want to? Boy, howdy. We've been boyfriend and girlfriend since midwinter. I, a varsity basketball player, she, a varsity cheerleader, which means we've sat together in the bleachers holding hands during the junior varsity games and on dark buses traveling home from away games, her head laid on my shoulder, my arm around her. She's taught me 2 ways of holding hands, palm to palm or fingers interlaced. You remember these intricacies of holding hands? Which seems totally new to you at the time? You don't realize that everyone else in the world has gone through this as well? And we've practiced together. Our hands inseparable for long periods of time, even though they've ached and sweated, neither of us wanting to be the first to break the grasp. We've enjoyed this cuddling, this snuggling, this cooing and wooing. But we haven't kissed. We haven't been as bold as that. And I haven't walked Beth home. The 2 of us have never been alone in a forest preserve, on a path snaking back through the woods, just the 2 of us. We've never been 13. This is the year when night after night I wake from wet. A boy becomes a man. That's the title of the film. Thanks to Arbor Park School District 145 and to a birds and bees chat with my father, I'm no longer sexually ignorant. But I've had nary an erotic thought about Beth. I've delighted in the scent of her perfume, something strong and fruity, the backward slant of her handwriting, the way she signs her notes to me, forever yours, followed by what has become the official signet of couples in our school, an S turned on its side, 2 short lines drawn through its middle. These are our sweet beginnings, our first leanings toward love. That afternoon in Yankee Woods, we stop on the trail, and there in the grove of trees, there in the dark, cool shade, she asked me whether I've ever kissed a girl. And I'm so thankful for this moment. Even now, I remember with immense gratitude how she reached out and touched me lightly on my forearm as if to say, it's all right, whoever you are, it's okay. That I can do nothing but tell her the truth, that I am practically without experience. Outside of a chaste kiss from my mother, my lips are virgin lips. It's not hard, she says, and she steps closer. She gives me a shy smile. Her hair is thick and blonde and cut short, a la Mary Martin as Nellie Forbush in South Pacific. And like Nellie, Beth is kind and spirited, the girl next door and everyone's friend, eager to be swept away by love. I can still see her in her white Oxford shirt, her blue culottes, her white sandals, her books cradled in the crook of her left arm. She lifts her chin, tilts her head to the side, and waits for me to take my cue. But I, alas, am no easy Pinza. This is the romantic lead opposite Mary Martin in South Pacific. I'm a shy boy who happens to be a skilled basketball player, and for that reason alone, I have the opportunity to be standing in Yankee Woods, a girl like Beth, waiting for me to kiss her. And I can't bring myself to do it. Don't you want to? She says. Well, sure, I say. I guess. I don't tell her about all the times I've practiced. See, you didn't think boys did this. I've kissed my hand, a mirror, my pillow, and I don't tell her about the time I couldn't stand the curiosity anymore. What would it feel like? And ask my mother to kiss me, which she had never before, at least to my memory, done. She kissed me on the lips, and I remember that her own were dry and tightly pressed together, and I came away embarrassed, knowing that I had forced her to demonstrate an affection that she felt, I have no doubt, but also one that was uncomfortable for her to display, being the timid, reserved, come-to-love late-in-life sort that she was. In her dry, rigid kiss, I felt her years of living on the outer edges of the world, preparing her students' lessons while other women tucked their children into bed, sitting through Gone with the Wind, all 4 hours of it, alone in the Arcadia Theater, while around her young couples held hands in the dark. There was an intermission, she would say years later, and she would say it proudly, her one claim to romance from those long years of spinsterhood. My mother married my father when she was 42 and 41, and my father was 38. I don't want my mother's life to be mine. I don't want to be old, not at 13. I don't want to be unkissed. What about my nose? I say to Beth. Where do I put my nose? I'm serious. It's been a big concern of mine since seeing an episode on the Patty Duke Show in which Patty and a boy kept bumping noses when they kissed. I'm afraid that Beth will laugh at me, but she doesn't. She explains patiently that she will tip her head to the right, and I will tip mine to my right, and everything will be fine. Ready? She says. All right, I tell her. And it happens. The next thing I know, we're kissing, and unlike the time when my mother kissed me and I came away wondering what the big deal was, I'm fairly well loose-kneed with the absolute thrill of Beth's lips on mine. When we finish, I ask her whether I did it right. This is how comfortable I feel with her, how safe. This is how much I trust her as my guide through this uncharted territory. Relax your lips, she says. Don't hold them so tight. I feel a dagger piercing my heart and anger constricting my throat. I failed at this most important, most essential juncture in my life, and I'll be doomed to years of loneliness. People will take one look at me and know the truth. They'll whisper it among themselves. Doesn't know how to kiss. But then, before I can move away from her, Beth kisses me again, and because she catches me off guard, because I have no time to worry about my performance, this kiss is all response. My lips forming themselves to hers, this kiss is soft, warm, unhurried, the kiss I've been needing since the first time my father whipped me with his belt and my mother did nothing to stop him. It's been our habit, as long as I can remember, these whippings. My father is quick to anger, and I'm not exactly blameless. I'm often stubborn, defiant, easily frustrated, full of sass. I'm often too much like him. People will tell me, long after he's dead, that there was a time when he was good-natured and agreeable, and although there are glimpses of this man as my father ages, for the most part he's brittle and full of temper. I'm clueless to what I now know. The fact that he spent the last 26 years of his life trying to relearn who he had been before the farming accident that cost him his hands and changed him